It's June 18th, JLD here, and welcome to MSTR today. In this show, we'll talk about being powered by Bitcoin and that Bitcoin is chaos. Let's talk about Stride analytics are now being trackable on the strategy.com website. The Genius Act has passed. That's great news for Bitcoin, great news for MSTR, great news for stable coins, all that and more. Also, the MSTR Q2 earnings update from Jeff Walton himself. Some great news there. Also, this video is not financial advice, but please do comment below. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what you're thinking about in the market right now, and let's dive on in. Okay, today's first post is from Michael Saylor himself, who wants us to know, powered by Bitcoin. And there you have it. And I want to scroll down a little further because I saw something nice by, Stride posted. We found live footage, Michael. So really cool how they turned that into some live footage here. So STRD, let's go. It's a parody account, but it's fun. Let's move on over to the Bitcoin therapist. Few understand this, he says. And what is that? Well, that's a post from Michael Saylor over a year ago, back on April 13th, 2024. Chaos is good for hashtag Bitcoin. And guess what? We live in a world of chaos, and that is good for Bitcoin. Strategy has a brand new credit and Stride tabs. They're available on the website strategy.com. Plug in your assumptions to model Bitcoin rating, Bitcoin risk, and Bitcoin credit across our fixed income instruments. So you can just go ahead, go to strategy.com, and you can just have a fun time checking out all these great tabs that they have going on here. Life is good. Have some fun with that. The Bitcoin therapist says, breaking news, the U.S. Senate officially passes the Genius Act, which allows the U.S. dollar to expand its dominance across all borders through stablecoins. This is extremely bullish for the U.S. dollar and for Bitcoin. We are entering a 10-year-long super cycle. And of course, that is his opinion, but the roll call has happened. Yay, 54, nay, 24. So it's not even close. Now it's moving on to the House of Representatives, which is going to clearly pass according to projections, which is great news for stable coins, great news for Bitcoin, great news for MSTR. And Jeff says, just got back from beers with some old reinsurance broking coworkers, who I love dearly. I have some have instruments or some have investments in MSTR, some bewildered by Bitcoin. Here's some commentary. What are the preferred stocks? I haven't been paying attention. How is Bitcoin collateral? Why would anyone hold it? And then Jeff just says, higher. Basically, these are people in the insurance industry. These are people that, should have some financial competence, and they have no clue. They are bewildered when it comes to Bitcoin, when it comes to what strategy is doing, the financial engineering genius. You are so early. I am so early. We are so early. I am so excited and proud of us. Let's keep on going. And Chris says, 1, Bitcoin torque is the input. 2, Bitcoin yield is the output. 3, MNAV is the market's projection of how effectively a company will convert 1 into 2. That's taking Bitcoin torque and making it into Bitcoin yield. Now, that is why that we love Strife, and Stride so much, because these are preferred stocks that just take the highest levels of torque, especially Stride and Strife, 12.8% torque. And it just all goes into Bitcoin with no dilution to MSTR shares. And that's what we want. That's what we love. Of course, when the conditions are right, I want Michael Saylor to be slamming that ATM on MSTR equity as well. That's me, because I want him to stack as much Bitcoin as possible. That's my desire as a shareholder, but only when the conditions are right. And I trust that now Michael Saylor can wait for those conditions to be right, because he has these other instruments, Strike, Strife, and Stride, taking that Bitcoin torque, MNAV, Bitcoin yield. So MNAV is the market's expectation of how effectively a company will convert Bitcoin torque into Bitcoin yields. Now, this is a rather long post from Jeff, but it's worth it, because as of 6/16/2025, MSTR is sitting on roughly $13.9 billion of a quarterly gain, which will flow through to net income. Walmart's net income over the last 12 months was $18.8 billion. They are the 10th largest publicly traded company in the USA. They have a $757 billion market cap. Even at 63,915 Bitcoin that MSTR purchased this quarter will have a current gain of 669 million. Palantir net income over the last 12 months was 571 million. They're the 24th largest publicly traded company in the US with a $335 billion market cap. Assuming Bitcoin closes Q2, that's June 30th, at greater than 94,000-ish. So because of recent buys, that number's even gone lower, which is great. I mean, we still want that buffer to happen. But as long as it closes above 94,000-ish, MSTR would post their first positive FASB fair accounting value quarter ever and qualify for the S&P 500 for the first time ever. This would be MSTR's first earnings report with a greater than $500 million gain in company history. If today's Bitcoin prices hold, this would blow out MSTR's largest historical net income quarter, Q1 2023, of $461 million by 30x. This will be the first time the broader TradFi ecosystem will see the real gap accounting power of adding Bitcoin to the balance sheets. Many have looked at MSTR stock performance and tried to match it to gap financials, been completely bewildered and write it off as a Ponzi without digging any deeper. This phenomenon all changes this quarter. I think many algos have this Bitcoin valuation priced in. However, I believe there are a decent cohort of them that do not. An algo is only as good as a coder team that puts it in place. This can result in a whipsaw of volatility as a new, extremely powerful Bitcoin-denominated asset gets repriced in an archaic fiat-denominated system, PE ratios, PEG ratios, P/B ratios, etc. I also believe there's a monumental amount of large capital in traditional finance that will finally wake up once MSTR's Bitcoin is fairly accounted for its gap financials. Bitcoin can no longer be ignored. There are 11 trading days left in the quarter, 15 for Bitcoin. We're in the final stages of being able to front run those that have front run us for decades. Bitcoin and MSTR are going higher. And this was when he was posting it at Bitcoin was at 107,651. So it was about $3,000 higher when he posted this. But this just kind of goes and shows you exactly what Jeff is tracking. So the cleared positive earnings over last 4 quarters by over $8.5 billion. So we are going higher. Thanks for the post, Jeff. Love this so much. And thanks for the update on the 94,000-ish. I'll probably adjust my HODL method in future videos down to 95 because, we want to clear it easily. So 95 will be our low buffer now instead of 97. And we have some great videos of Michael Saylor coming up right now. So enjoy.
And the first nation to print money, the first nation to print their own currency to buy Bitcoin wins. Right? Like, Tom, look what MicroStrategy did. We basically issue our own currency, our stock, and we buy Bitcoin. What happened? We went from $1 billion to $100 billion market cap is what happened. Is it inflation? It's only inflation if you print the currency to invest, to make a bad investment. Right? If you print the currency to buy something that's appreciating faster than your inflation rate, it's actually accretion. Bitcoin is capital. Bitcoin is not currency. Gold has been used as capital. It's not currency anymore. The very simple thing that the U.S. ought to do is they ought to sell the gold and buy Bitcoin with it and buy 20% of the Bitcoin network. It's very simple. Just swap the gold for Bitcoin. If anybody actually swaps out their treasury bills for Bitcoin, then the U.S. is going to own it all. It's kind of like just getting Alaska or the Louisiana Purchase for free. They could pretty much have 20% of the network for free overnight, just with a swap. They could even print the money. They could buy it for next to nothing. The only alternative to the treasury bill for anybody is Bitcoin. And so just do that, and Bitcoin becomes the world reserve capital network, and the U.S. will own both sides of the equation. They'll own the currency and the capital.
Let's be real. If you've ever tried to invest, especially as a beginner, you've probably asked yourself, how do I even find good stocks? What should I buy or sell right now? And seriously, what the hell is going on with the market today? I ask myself those same questions all the time. And that's exactly why I started using Investing Pro. the powerful new platform from investing.com that helps you make smarter investing decisions without drowning in information overload. One of my favorite features, Warren AI. It's like ChatGPT on the stock market, but with real-time data-backed answers straight from investing.com's massive financial database. Want to know why Nvidia dropped yesterday or why now is a good time to buy Tesla? Just ask. Warren AI gives you instant, up-to-date insights you can actually act on. I recently asked it where to invest $10,000 right now, and the list of stocks that returned, fire, full of actionable ideas I hadn't even considered. Bottom line, if you want to invest smarter, faster, and with more confidence, Investing Pro with Warren AI is a game changer. Check it out now at investing-referral.com/MSTR. Online shopping has never been easier, but this ease is new enough that we remember a time when entering all our credit card info every time we purchased something online was the norm. Luckily, we don't have to do that anymore thanks to Shopify. That's right, that purple Shop Pay button that makes it seamless to purchase online is powered by Shopify. And Shopify doesn't just make it easy to buy, it makes it incredibly easy to start a business no matter your experience. Shopify is the commerce platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the US, and they make it super easy to get up and running with beautiful, ready-to-go templates and built-in marketing and email tools. Worried about tracking inventory, payments, and analytics? No stress. Shopify helps you manage it all from a single dashboard. And back to that iconic purple Shop Pay button, it's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/MSTR. Go to shopify.com/MSTR, shopify.com/MSTR.
So I got very interested in all that. That drove me down a path where I went to MIT. I studied spaceship engineering, astronautics really. And while I was there, I studying astronautical engineering, I stumbled across another course at the School of Management there called System Dynamics, and I became fascinated with that. It was the computer simulation of human behavior. So people were building.
Who are the big names in system dynamics?
Jay Forrester founded the school, and the idea was build a computer simulation that shows what happens if you change the dynamics of a traffic system in a city. I mean, the classic example is I build a beltway around the city, and I build a hub and spoke system, and I build superhighways because I want to speed up travel time. But invariably what happens is the city increases by a factor of 10 and the travel times go back to what they were. Because of the feedback, right? If you built the roads and then no one reacted to it, then you would be able to get around faster.
Yes,
but
and the world would be a much simpler place.
Another classic example is, you remember the Club of Rome study, they declared that the world was going to run out of resources within 10 years. And they declared it because all the oil reserves were for 10 more years. But if you thought about it, you would realize that an oil company only has an incentive to identify 10 years worth of reserves, and everything after that's a diminishing return. So we always have 10 years worth of reserves. And so
it's a time horizon issue, not a resource issue.
If you see the world as a dynamic, nonlinear feedback system, and you consider the human behavior or the reaction to what you do, then you're much more sophisticated, and you start to realize the simplistic linear models don't work. And you have to consider human behavior and economics and urban planning and business planning. And so I studied that. I did my thesis in it. I started building computer simulations. I learned from the computer scientist in the School of Management. I got very fascinated in the school. I got very interested in politics, philosophy, economics. I ended up taking another degree in the history of science. And, as I studied...
Where did you take that?
At MIT.
It was at MIT too.
So at the same time.
When were you there?
1983 to 1987. And when I was there, I was also an Air Force cadet. The Air Force paid for my education to go through MIT. I was very fortunate in that regard. So this is all just backstory, but I had the background as a cadet and a commissioned officer in the Air Force. I grew up on Air Force bases my entire life. My father was career non-commissioned officer, so I lived on military bases.
Move a lot?
Moved a lot. So I saw the world. I had the science fiction background. I had the Dungeons and Dragons, the fantasy background. I got very interested in the history of science. That's all about paradigm shift. You know, how do people embrace new ideas, whether it's the Copernican revolution or whether it's relativity and Einstein's ideas, or whether it's quantum physics, or whether it's what happens when I introduce railroads or electricity or crude oil or radio. How does it change the culture? How does it change the politics? How does it change the economics of the civilization? So that was my academic background.
And there you have it, another episode of MSTR today. And here's my receipt from yesterday. I had a 0.563 share purchase of MSTR. That was filled at $374. So pretty flat on the day for my purchase. This is my $210 purchase every single trading day of 2025. I'm committed to doing this, and every Sunday I'll give you the complete DCA portfolio reveal. So look forward to that. And let's move on over to HODL the line, because we are just 12 days away. Just 12 days away. And a little update on that, an outpouring of support in the comments of people wanting the live stream. And a couple people updated me that it's actually 8 p.m. Eastern time. That's when Q2 closes. So it's 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to start the live stream at around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. On Monday, June 30th in the morning, I'll actually be sending out a little save the date, so to speak. It'll be on my YouTube channel. You can just kind of subscribe there if you want updates on that. But that won't be available until June 30th in the morning. And then at 7:30 p.m., give or take, we'll all jump on live, and that's Eastern time. That is New York City time. We'll jump on. We'll do the countdown. We'll have some conversations. We'll eat some popcorn. I'll answer any questions. I'll ask some questions. We'll have a good old time, and hopefully Bitcoin will HODL the line as we then take the final step to qualify for the S&P 500. We're just 12 days away. As you can see, we're at about $104,000 of Bitcoin, a little more than that as of the time of this recording. Been a little fluctuating due to the macro events in the world. Bitcoin's doing good overall. I mean, with everything taken into account. But the reality is we have to HODL this line. We don't have to, but we want to HODL this line, because why not knock this out now, this quarter? Because it's inevitable that's going to happen, and that is inevitable with a capital Bitcoin, BULL. So let's go there. And I noticed a lot of you guys have been slacking off buying this swag. We went through a little spurt for a while, but we have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have bags. You can rest your head on an inevitable pillow if you so choose. It's all in the store, right in the show notes page below. So check that out for sure. But you can be sipping an inevitable mug watching this show. I mean, what could be better? And of course, you'll be supporting me and supporting the channel. So thank you for that in advance. And as Michael Saylor says, let's be honest, there is no second best.
What's the second best? There is no second best.